Meuser from the state of Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, very much. It's great to be here. Appreciate you inviting me and waving me onto this committee. Incredibly compelling testimonies. Just feel so much emotion towards each one of your testimonies. Certainly to the Fitzgeralds, beyond condolences, the Stevens, Ms. O'Connor, Mrs. O'Connor, so many real-life situations that you're expressing to us. Your testimony is very real. And it must be very frustrating for me to hear some want to deny the realities of crime, of the sense of safety that people have. We're smash and grabs, and we got this new migrant crime. We got squatting. We got all these new terms basically that have been created just over the last couple of years because of the reasons that have been very well expressed here. Also the character of the district attorney. I mean, the list goes on. Us in Pennsylvania know this individual and know his shortcomings, and yet he does get reelected overwhelmingly, and he can't even tell the truth about whether or not he knew about being here, which under testimony, Dr. Fitzgerald stated emphatically, yet was even questioned. Even that was not treated in a credible manner. If we can't face reality, we're certainly not going to solve the problem. So crime is out of control. Since Krasner's been in, murders in Philadelphia, no matter how you slice it, are up over 30%. There's minimal enforcement that takes place. I mean, look at our campuses, even University of Pennsylvania, certainly Columbia, UCLA. The list goes on. There's no enforcement taking place. It was allowed to fester until it got to a breaking point, and finally they went in. And that's what's happening on our streets when you just let it go. And I don't have to tell you, Dr. Fitzgerald or Mr. Gerace. You know it, you see it, you live it. So the reasons are we've discussed. Prosecutors are simply not prosecuting. As a matter of fact, in Philadelphia, the prosecution rate of violent criminals is down under 30%. 6-7 years ago, before he got into office, it was nearly 70%. And you know what? In most cities, many cities anyway, it is that high. Compare Philadelphia to San Diego. San Diego has a prosecution rate above 70%. Krasner, by the way, no longer provides the data on his prosecution rate. So we think it's about 30%. Similar sized cities, Philadelphia is a little bit larger. Philly last year, down from 509 murders, which was more than New York City, which with 1/4 the population. Last year was 389. San Diego, that prosecutes violent crimes over 70% of the time, had 45 murders. Homicides, murders. So anyway, and so that's number one. Number two is the defunding of the police. The numbers are clear. The numbers don't lie. Since 2020, the Philadelphia Police Department is down $66 million. Now, the size of their budget and all is, I believe, about $750 million. But I mean, it's almost 10% since 2020 with inflation and everything else. So hundreds, thousands, Mr. Gerace stated, down in recruitment and in force. So let me ask you, Mr. Fitzgerald. We already stated how Krasner lied, so we won't cover that again. But do you believe that Krasner is not prosecuting those who break gun laws, not enforcing the simple gun laws that some feel are the answer to all this, but are gun laws that exist in Pennsylvania and Philadelphia being enforced, or are they being let out as well?
As a chief of police in another state now, it's hard for me to focus simply upon Philadelphia. However, I obviously have deep roots here within the police department, and I will tell you that there is a dramatic effect in the city for when there is a lack of prosecution for gun-related crimes. I'll cite an instance. I have a family member that's in politics here who was in his district, and he said hello to someone that he knew probably should have been in jail. He talked to the person and said, "What's going on? You just got arrested for having a gun." This person had been arrested 5 times for having firearms in their possession, and said, "You know why I'm out."
So if these gun laws were enforced, you think there'd be less gun violence?
I believe that if these gun laws here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania were being prosecuted effectively, were being pursued effectively, would work. We're not perfect. No one's perfect. We're not asking that a district attorney's office be perfect or even legislature. But what we can ask for is there be a semblance of civility.
Sure.
And that civility comes with having the rule of law. And when the rule of law is not enforced, you have anarchy. And we're seeing anarchy in our cities. I'm in Colorado now. I've been a police chief in Iowa. I've been a police chief in Texas twice, Pennsylvania. Fortunately, I'm able to sort of see across the country what the ebbs and flows of violent crime, cause people and what gun-related violence cause.
Mr. Grace, do you feel that the morale of police is low due to disrespect, defunding, and demoralizing?
100%. So these criminals, they know, they tell these cops to their face, Uncle Larry's going to let me out in a couple hours. That's exactly what happens. So the numbers in these carjackings and shootings, one of the reasons why juveniles are being ushered in, they're being arrested, and they're out within 5 hours. And we all know the juvenile gets in trouble for something. There's no consequences. They're going to keep going.
What can we do about it?
Prosecute the crimes. I mean, this was almost a banana republic. It's a joke. It was mentioned as a circus. I know where the clowns are. You keep saying you want new gun laws. Let's enforce the gun laws that are on the books now, and we'll see what happens. We don't need new laws. Yeah. We need the prosecutor to prosecute the laws that are on the books right now. Yeah, and we're talking about Larry Krasner's election results. You need to know the nuances in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. The election is in the primary. He won by 6%. 17% showed up to vote. That's it. Yeah. You can put a teddy bear could win the primary, and when it came to general election, the Republican will lose to the teddy bear in Philadelphia. That's the way it is.
Ms. O'Connor, I'm going to give you a last word, please. Is there anything that you'd like to say to Larry Krasner if he did show up as he was invited? Excuse me, I'm questioning right this moment. Did you folks did you invite him? The gentleman here did. Oh, hold on a second. Larry Krasner stated that he did not know about, whether we were invited or not, he did not know about the hearing. And Dr. Fitzgerald testified under oath that he did, in fact, know about the hearing. So, excuse me.
I think the chairman addressed that a few minutes ago.
You want to sit there and defend George Soros? You're the one here who receives contributions from him. Larry Krasner receives $1.5 million. I'm in the middle of my testimony.
I'm asking how Mr. Fitzgerald knew that Larry Krasner knew about this hearing.
No, we did not. I'm going to let Mr. Fitzgerald explain it because he said it right. What he said was there was a hearing. He told the District Attorney Krasner there was a hearing, and after that, a week and a half later, Mr. Krasner said he didn't know about the hearing. That's not being truthful because he heard it from a guy who was coming to testify and knew about the hearing, obviously because him and his wife are testifying. That's what took place.
Well, Mr. Chairman, just to remind you of what you just said a few minutes ago, you stated that the committee had not invited.
No, I was clear about that. We didn't invite him.
I think that was the only point that was being made.
The witness, Dr. Fitzgerald, notified them clearly of
Mr. Chairman, I would point out that there is no point.
Hang on. The time belongs to Mr. Meuser.
Mr. Chairman, I would point out that there is no point to Mr. Krasner coming to this hearing if he couldn't testify.
Fine. Well, Ranking Member, you lost your credibility. You lost your credibility when you compared this to a nonviolent, frivolous suit in New York, while we have people here whose family members have been murdered. Okay, your credibility was gone at that point. Ms. O'Connor, back to you, please. If DA Krasner were here, what would you like to say to him?
I think I said it at the end of my testimony. Jim got up to go to work that night, and his job was to save and protect our city. And he was supposed to come home to me in the morning. He did his job. If you did yours and kept criminals where they're supposed to be, behind bars, maybe Jim would still be here today. Do your job.
Thank you. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.